Hello, everyone, and welcome to the Transformational Storytellers show. It is the first show of the year, which is amazing. And look who I have on my screen with all these hearts. Oh my goodness, it is so true. It is the best representation because my dear friend and sister and colleague and just all around amazing person, Dr. Sheri Wood. I am so happy that you're here.
Well, thank you. So delighted to be with you today.
Oh my goodness. Everyone is in for a treat because I adore this woman and her family. Her daughter is my daughter. And we're going to have an amazing conversation today. I really am proud of sharing your work with my audience today because it is so needed. And not only your chapter from chaos to clarity in the gifts of pain, but also everything that you do with your brand growth through loss. So, to tell you everyone a little bit about Sheri. Dr. Sheri Wood. She's a licensed clinical marriage and family therapist. She's a mother. She's a widow, and you'll learn more a little bit about that. And her passion is teaching people struggling to find peace to create positive change within their lives. And we'll expand on that because we've done a lot of growth in that. And I am going to make sure that I add all of the information so that you can connect with Sheri because Dr. Wood, she has so much amazing information to share. And as a licensed clinical marriage and family therapist, she has so much experience and she can help you through anything that is bothering you and robbing you of your peace. And that's my word of the year this year. So how are you, Sheri?
I'm great. I'm great. I'm so excited to be your first interview of the year. That's so much
Oh,
fun. Yeah.
yes,
I feel
it's
so
gonna be a
honored.
great year. It's an indication that it's gonna be a great year.
Yeah, I'm wearing
So,
green for, prosperity.
yes, I love it. I love it so much. And I love all of your hearts because
Oh, thank you.
I know you have the biggest heart. It is so amazing to know you.
Thank you.
Thank you. All right. So to get started, because I know everyone wants to hear from you, would you be willing to share your story with our audience today?
Yeah, you bet. You bet. So, just to give you a little bit of a highlight, my daughter was without her dad. I was without my Marine. My husband, Russ, had endured health challenges. He had kidney failure, he had heart failure. So, sadly, after a valiant fight, Russ succumbed to those illnesses and his heart finally gave out. So when I was 37 years old, I was chasing after a 1-year-old little girl. Russ was diagnosed with a life-threatening series of illnesses because of the Camp Lejeune water contamination problem. So I was working 5 part-time jobs to keep our family going and to take care of my disabled husband. And Russ, he had a sports nutrition supplement store and he ended up closing that down so that he could take care of our daughter and then to deal with his own illness. So after 17 years, I really thought that Russ um, would recover, because he'd done it so many times before. I couldn't even believe that he was gone. And it was pretty devastating and a pretty devastating sense of profound loss. So soon after, I met with a client in my private practice, and we talked about the three bucket theory, and I realized, that I really needed to apply the theory in my own life. So, just to kind of give you an overview of the three bucket theory, the three bucket theory for the first bucket, the bucket is mine, right? I can brush my teeth. I don't have to. It's my bucket. The second bucket is a bucket where I can have influence over somebody else, an influence over another. And the third bucket is other people's actions or behaviors. This bucket isn't mine. So I encourage people to recognize that we can all practice the three bucket theory in difficult situations so that we're more assertive, so that we get to feel better about ourselves, so that we can enjoy success in business, closeness in relationships, and fulfillment in every aspect of our lives. So, for me, as a marriage and family therapist and a keynote speaker, I'm on a mission to teach everybody about the three bucket theory and the power that it has in turning chaos into clarity and calm.
Oh, wow, that's amazing. I mean, there's a lot that you share there that I want to honor. And thank you for your vulnerability. Thank you for allowing yourself to feel with us. It is real. Grief is, I know, a big part of your journey. And and that's why you help people through this because we need support. And I love that you shared about what happened before
Mhm.
17 years of struggle, of battle, I would say, and also you having five part-time jobs, having a small daughter, and she is now an author
Yeah.
also. I see some of the books in which she
Yes.
is, and you are an author as well. And a lot of people focus on what happens after, how we recover, how we bounce back. So I love that you gave us not only the highlights of the work that you do and being a keynote speaker, a retreat facilitator, and all of these things that you do, but also you showed us your heart, that it's still grieving, that it's still hurting. And I really appreciate that so much. And with that vulnerability, I want to ask you, why is it important for you to show up here and cry with us and tell us your story, raw and vulnerable? Why do we need to share stories in our world?
Sure. Well, what I think is, when you share your story, that is pretty significant. When we do it in this using the story format or the story system that you've created, we get to demonstrate the struggle that we experience. And a lot of us have painful, painful stories. So we can do this in a very concise format. We then get to validate that transformation that takes place in our own personal lives. And we get to discuss the outcomes as a result of that experience. So, by using the story system, it makes it easier for us to communicate our message of transformation to our audience in a simple format, in an easy format, and it's also pretty friendly, you know.
Thank you so much. And I think that when you share your story, every time you share your story, I think about my own grief and the people I have missed and the struggles I have had with not only losing people, but also losing part of who I was or part of my identity. And I would like to ask you about that because I know that your work is pretty vast in this subject. You work with people who struggle with mental health issues, with PTSD, with depression, anxiety. and you are an expert in behavioral health,
Yes.
and not only mental health, but also behavioral health. So would you tell us a little bit about the work that you do and how you approach the different aspects of loss and how we grieve those losses?
Right. So yeah, you bet. I am, as you mentioned, a licensed clinical marriage and family therapist, and I have 20 years, over 20 years of experience in that environment. And I recently was certified in the Transformational Storytelling System from Dr. Elena Fernandez Transformational Storyteller University in 2025. So, yeah, and I'm a keynote speaker. I work with people who struggle, as you mentioned, with emotional issues like anxiety and depression and grief, personality disorders, PTSD, and sexual trauma. That's just to name a few of the things that I work with. And I have the honor of being on this journey with people from all walks of life and to specialize, I specialize in serving veterans. And then
Mhm.
because of my own personal loss, I'm also focused on working with other people who have experienced different types of grief and loss. So that's pretty important to me.
And when we think about loss, give us a few examples of what that would be.
Certainly, I think when we think of loss, we oftentimes expect or think of losing someone who's transitioned from this life to the next, but it can be the loss of a dream. It can be loss of, a career. It could be loss of a friendship, loss of what we had been doing for, all of our lives. So we've got a myriad of losses that we can talk about. Just to be fair, even loss with pets, because that can be, uh, that's a pivotal part for many of my people. So I just work with all different types of loss and I do my best to honor that with
Wow. Thank you. Thank you, Sheri. I mean, you just validated so much for us right now because as you were going through the list, I was thinking of friendships and pets and dreams and all of those things that you mentioned. I was thinking about myself and like how, yeah, I lost that. Yeah, and some that I hadn't even thought about in years. And so I think it's really key for anyone who's watching or listening to think about your own inventory of what have you lost and are you honoring that like Dr. Sheri does in her practice. It's really powerful. And with that, I want to ask about growth through loss. Like what do you do through your platform? I mean, that's a really beautiful statement of growing
sure.
as you are going through a loss.
Yeah,
Um, Tell us a little bit about how you envision that growth and what that
sure.
means to you.
Yeah, sure. So I'm really, since the loss of my own spouse has been so fresh, and since that journey has been so challenging for me, I thought one of the greatest things that I could do is to really help honor that loss by maybe using some of my own personal experiences and creating memories. You mentioned earlier about retreats and what have you, so we're doing some brainstorming on how to create memories and go on experiences and excursions with others who are also on a journey themselves. So part of that would be going on a retreat, part of that would be doing some deep diving into some loss aspect of their lives and and then making memories,
Yeah.
creating that memory, finding that joy and cultivating that discovery that might have been lost in the midst of that experience that they went through.
That
Yeah.
is so beautiful. And why do you feel that acknowledging those losses and finding ways to grow through them is so essential in the world today? Why is your work so essential through the loss and also all of those personality disorders and mental health um, conditions that you talked about earlier?
Sure. Well, the work as a licensed clinical marriage and family therapist is vital for people so that they know that they're not alone, so that we can provide them some clear, easy tools that they can implement, such as the three bucket theory. They can work on being more assertive, feel better about themselves, enjoy, as I mentioned before, enjoying success in business and closeness in relationships and fulfillment in their lives, you know.
Yeah, I love that. And I'm glad that you brought it back to the three bucket theory because we haven't talked enough about it. I think it's such a brilliant tool and I learned about it from you and I don't know if you remember how excited I was.
Yeah.
It's like a life-changing tool and it's so simple.
Mhm.
And could you give us a little bit of an example on how we can use it? I like the example of brushing your teeth
Mhm.
um, and taking responsibility for what you can do. And yet it's the other two that I think are hardest.
Right.
What is one example in your own life when you were growing through the loss of your husband and
Mhm.
on how you applied that three bucket theory?
Sure. I mean, the when we first got his diagnosis, an example of that would be, I had to really evaluate my own experiences and what I could and couldn't manage, right?
Mhm.
So big diagnosis, big heavy things. And I recognize that I have no ability to do anything about his situation with the exception of being supportive of him. But I mean, when I think about the three bucket theory and I apply it to his diagnosis specifically and to his life, one, I get to know, hey, I can take care of me, I can manage myself. I can definitely have influence over Russell by telling him, these are the things that I can think about. These are the things that we can do. But the reality is, the VA physicians, they're in charge of his care, not me, right?
Mhm.
And then ultimately understanding his, medical issues and all of those things. I absolutely have no ability to manage or control any of it. So, so that's really what I identified when I dealt with all of that. I had to really pull back and identify what is it that's mine that I can do, what that I can manage. And what is it? Do I just have to really focus on letting the staff do what they need to do with Russ?
Yeah.
And I can't always, I'm a helper, right? And I can't always do those things, even as much as I want to.
Yeah. Oh my goodness. That is huge, especially that last piece that you added, even as much as I want to. I mean, having children is one example for me, in which, you understand that they are their own person, even when they are in your care. So imagine people at work, people on the street, people at the grocery store, like knowing what we can influence and knowing what we need to let go of.
Yeah.
What a huge concept and what a hard one too.
Oh, yes, very much so.
Yes. And so, can we apply the three bucket theory to any situation?
Yeah, I mean, I think that, the theory, the way that it sets up, I think, one of the things that I can share with you is that I tell people, if you can envision three different buckets, kick the third bucket, right? Carry the second bucket with dignity and gratitude. And then, man, fill up the first bucket with intentional actions that you have so that you can find opportunities, in the middle of obstacles.
That is perfect. I think that that's such a powerful visual,
Yeah.
and I can see myself doing that, and especially that first one with filling it with intentional action. I think, as we start the new year, we can definitely set up to do intentional things, and maybe that's a good practice to start right now. What is it that I want to put in my bucket in this year? I think I'm gonna do that. You definitely laid it out so beautifully for me right now. And one thing that I want to highlight about this conversation is that the three bucket theory is just simply one of the simple tools, and you have thousands of tools that you have collected in the 20-year practice and all of your study. Like you just said, you just got certified as a transformational storyteller, but you're always growing, you're always learning, you're always honing your craft, and you see and work with so many people. How many thousands? How many clients have you helped?
Oh, Lordy. I would say thousands of clients in 20 years.
Yeah,
I would say,
yeah.
oh, thousands and thousands.
Yes, and I know that you have keynotes that you are available to deliver, and that, like you said, you are planning retreats to work with widows who want to practice self-care. And so I'm really excited for everyone to connect with you. Dr. Sheri Wood, you can find her online at Grow Through Loss and on every platform, but also make sure that you connect with her on LinkedIn. And what is something that you want to part with today? If you would like to share advice or insights about and to anyone who's going through a loss right now.
Well, I think just to know that you're not alone. I think that's huge. And to know that I'm willing, to walk the walk with you. You've got a friend where you can connect with somebody and someone that will hold space with you while you go through that experience in your life.
That is so powerful. I'm gonna savor that for a moment here, because I think that's such an easy thing to say,
Yeah.
and yet I don't think we take it in. So let's all close our eyes right now and think like, I am not alone. I am not alone. I think that there's so much that happens because we feel alone. I really appreciate you. I really appreciate you saying that, and I appreciate you coming to the show. But most importantly, I appreciate you, Sheri, my friend, my dear sister. You are a gift to me. You're a gift to my family. And I am just really grateful for all the work that you do. If you want to read Sheri's story, make sure that you check out The Gifts of Pain, Volume 4, and also Los Dones del Dolor en Español
Good.
and Raw Motherhood,
Yeah.
where she shares a beautiful poem that will definitely touch your heart. Thank you so much, Sheri, for being with me today. Happy New Year.
Happy New Year and thank you so much for having me.
I
It was
love you.
a pleasure. All righty. Thank you.
Bye, my darling.
Thank you.
Bye, everyone. See you soon.